Okay, so picture this. What if a single photograph, just one old picture, could blow the doors wide open on a story you've kept locked away for what, over half a century? That's exactly where we're starting today. We're diving into this incredible story of love, some pretty big lies, and, well, the final settling of accounts on a debt that's been sitting there for 55 years.
This quote, wow, it just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? Memory isn't something that just fades away. No, it's more like a drawer in an old piece of furniture that's just stuck. You can't just pull it open. You need the right kind of jolt, the right angle. Well, today, we're going to give that drawer a good hard yank and see exactly what comes tumbling out.
So, really, what does happen when the past literally mails you a photograph? I mean, think about it. It's this ghost from a life you were sure was over, just showing up on your doorstep without any warning. What is it? Is it a threat? A cry for help? Or, and this is interesting, is it an invoice? A bill coming due on an account you thought was closed decades ago?
Well, for our protagonist, a 76-year-old woman named Mrs. Yan, who's living this very quiet life in San Francisco, it shatters everything. I mean, she's built this safe, predictable life for herself, and then one day, boom, a photograph from Shanghai, dated 1948, lands in her mailbox, and it shows this young woman, a woman she can barely even recognize as her younger self. And that one little piece of paper, it sets off this incredible chain reaction that's going to force her to face a past she has spent her entire life trying to bury.
So let's talk about this photograph. It really is like a key, because it's not just a picture of her. In the corner, you can just make out the edge of a mirror from an old apartment. And seeing that one detail, it's like a dam breaking. Suddenly, all these memories come flooding back, all about this one man, a wealthy, incredibly powerful man named Zhao Jingming.
Now, to really get what their relationship was all about, we have to understand this one specific term, qingren. You might translate it as lover or mistress, but honestly, it's way more complicated than that. Yeah, there's affection involved, but it's all wrapped up in this complex web of financial support and, social secrecy. So back in 1940s Shanghai, a very young Mrs. Yan became Zhao Jingming's qingren. She was living in this beautiful apartment he paid for, basically a beautiful bird in a very, very gilded cage.
She could have just ripped up the photo, right? Just thrown it away and slammed that stuck drawer shut for good. But she doesn't. Mrs. Yan makes this incredibly brave choice. She decides she has to know who sent it, and more importantly, why. She's deliberately forcing herself to dig into a past she has spent more than 50 years actively trying to forget. And she doesn't waste any time either. First, she digs out the few little things she kept from that time. A silk handkerchief, some old ticket stubs, the only physical proof she has left. Then she goes to see an old acquaintance, a man they call Uncle Fong, who's kind of the unofficial historian of their community. And from there, she takes the biggest step of all. She hires a private investigator. See, she's not a victim of her past anymore. She's hunting down the truth.
And this is where we see the first absolutely brutal collision between her memories and the cold, hard reality. The story Mrs. Yan had been telling herself for decades was this epic, tragic romance, that she was chosen. But then Uncle Fong just drops the unvarnished truth on her. Zhao Jingming had a wife and 3 kids in Hong Kong. She wasn't his one great love. She was one of several mistresses. Just oof.
So just when she's reeling from that, the private investigator comes back with a report, and it's just one bombshell after another. First off, Zhao Jingming is still alive. He's 94, living in Taipei. Second, he's not the one who sent the photo, his daughter did. And get this, the daughter, Xiao Meiling, wants Mrs. Yan to fly to Taipei to meet with her dying father. I mean, the mystery just got so much deeper. Why on earth would his daughter want this to happen?
And incredibly, Mrs. Yan says yes. She gets on a plane and flies to Taipei. Just imagine that, a 76-year-old woman walking right back into the final chapter of a story she was sure had ended 55 years ago. This is not going to be some sweet reunion. This is a confrontation, a face-to-face meeting with the man who shaped her entire youth, the man she literally had to flee. And there's no small talk, no how have you been, none of that. From his wheelchair, the very first thing Zhao Jingming says to her is a confession. I lied to you most of all. That one sentence just sets the tone for everything. This isn't going to be sentimental. It's going to be a reckoning. And the lies, they were absolutely staggering. I mean, it went so far beyond just having another family. That whole glamorous life he gave her, turns out his import-export business was just a front. He was dealing in opium. The nightclubs he owned? They were investments with gangsters. The entire world he built for her was a complete and total illusion.
And then comes the real climax of this meeting. He offers her something huge. The deed. The deed to that Shanghai apartment they shared all those years ago. An apartment that today is worth $1.2 million. After a lifetime built on lies, he's offering her one very large, very tangible piece of the truth.
So, what is this really? You have to ask yourself. Is this a genuine apology? An attempt to finally make things right? Or is this just a man who built his entire life on transactions, trying to buy his way to a clear conscience? It's the central question, and it just hangs in the air.
But before she can give him an answer, Mrs. Yan realizes there's one more thing she has to do. She needs to go to Shanghai. She has to go back. She needs to stand in that apartment, in the physical space where this whole story started, and see for herself if her memory lines up with reality.
And the difference is it's jarring. The apartment she's held in her mind for 55 years is this sealed-off, romantic bubble. But the apartment that's actually there today, it's been renovated, it's empty, modern. It's not a secret little world for two. It's a real estate asset with a strong rental market. It's just business.
And her own words really say it all. Memory is unreliable. I need to see the actual place. She has this profound realization that the story she's been carrying around for more than half a century might be just that, a story. And now she has to figure out how to line up that internal story with the cold, hard facts of today.
And as she's standing there, in those empty rooms, all that romanticism it completely evaporates. She finally sees her past for what it was. It wasn't a tragic love story. It was a transaction. A business deal where she never got paid what she was owed. The emotional debt suddenly becomes a very real financial one.
Okay, so this sets up the final act. She goes back to Taipei, but she's not the same woman. She's not the naive young mistress anymore, and she's not some forgiving old woman either. Nope, she's returning as a creditor. She's there to settle an account, and in the process, she's about to take total control of her own narrative.
So that brings us right back to that big question, one last time. Is this $1 million apartment a gift, or is it a debt being paid? Well, Mrs. Yan finally has her answer. And it is powerful.
This is it. This is the line that changes everything. She looks at him and says, "This apartment is just back pay for services rendered 55 years ago." Wow, with that one sentence, she rewrites their entire history. She's not the tragic lover, she's not the grateful old woman, she's a professional who is underpaid. This isn't charity. She is collecting what she is owed. It is just an incredible act of taking back her own story.
When you look at her journey, her transformation is it's complete. She started as the kept woman, completely dependent on a man. Then she became the practical wife, marrying for security. Then the American immigrant, trying to become Betty Yan and erase everything. But she ends up here, in 2026, as the creditor, the one who finally settles the books on her own terms. Because in the end, that's the real takeaway, isn't it? She can't change what happened all those years ago on Julu Road. The lies, the power dynamic, that's all set in stone. But what she does, and this is so powerful, is she changes what it means. She takes the story and she translates it. It's no longer a romantic tragedy. It's a story of economic justice. And by doing that, she finally pays her own account in full.